too. That's going to be awkward.
Mathare Valley Slum is one of the worst and oldest slums in all of Africa. This slum is 2 square miles long, holding approximately 800,000 people. Mathare Valley Slum is located in Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa's most populous city, and has a population of nearly 3 million people. This slum, according to AWM, an Assemblies of God organization working in Mathare Valley, is said to be one of the neediest places on earth. Former fragmented relationships have ultimately contributed to the severe poverty manifested in Mathare Valley. I also can personally testify to the brutal living conditions present in this overcrowded slum. However, God's light still shines even in this incredibly dark valley. He especially shines through the life of Mary Kamau, a woman who was obedient to God's call in her life and ended up changing thousands of lives through starting a holistic ministry called Missions of Hope International. Mary describes her first experience in Mathare Valley as horrifying. She smelled open sewers everywhere and saw thousands of children wandering aimlessly. People lay limp on their street, their bodies infested with maggots. Criminals often use the slum to steal and a place to hide from the police, who maintain little law and order in the slum. Mary remembers the time when people would constantly be robbed or pickpocketed for money or possessions. Her first time to the slums profoundly affected Mary. She left with a fierce determination to see change in this degrading slum. Mathare Valley is full of broken people, violence, AIDS, and almost 1 million people starving. However, through Missions of Hope International, God's love and hope are beaming forth from this valley. One specific way Missions of Hope is reaching people is through community health evangelism, a program that connects the gospel with sustainability in these slums. I am a personal witness to the hope present in these slums and how community health evangelism has transformed lives. I spent the summer interning with many Kenyans who served alongside Missions of Hope, and I saw how radically God moved. The most important memory I can take away from this summer is that God's hope shines even in the dire slum of Mathare Valley. Poverty at its core is due to relationships that do not work, relationships which are fragmented, dysfunctional, and oppressive. The issue of poverty is ultimately a spiritual issue because it deals with deception and distortion, which are sins. It is the result of selfishness and systematic injustice. By taking advantage of people to elevate another person or business, it lowers a different people group or society, thus adding to their poverty. By degrading these people and placing them in stereotypes, it heightens their social poverty as they are placed in a degraded category of what people believe about them. Poverty, thus, is the absence of shalom and the inability to see every human being created in the image of God and believe this is the truth, even in the most despicable of human beings. By lowering a people group and not seeing the value or worth in a person, it leaves that person or society feeling worthless or hopeless, thus increasing their mental poverty. By adding to their mental poverty, those people in turn care less about their environment around them. They believe they do not matter, so why should they take care of the environment or their physical well-being? This in turn affects their health, their living conditions, and their brokenness. Through these various layers, poverty becomes extremely oppressive and unjust. Poverty takes peace and love out of a relationship and a society as a whole. These layers of poverty are present in the Mathare Valley Slum. However, through Missions of Hope International, a holistic ministry reaching the needs of thousands in the Mathare Valley Slum, God is transforming their valley of darkness into a valley of hope. Missions of Hope is an organization which aims to share the love of Christ with the disadvantaged communities in Mathare Valley. They seek to restore hope to individuals through spiritual, social, physical, and economic development. Missions of Hope is doing a phenomenal job reaching not just the needs of the children by placing them in schools, but the needs of the communities and families as well. In just 15 years, Missions of Hope has built a clinic in one of the Moki centers, created a microfinance department where men and women can take loans out, and hire numerous social workers who oversee medical camps among the different communities. Pastors and social workers constantly check up on the community through house visits, weekly Bible studies, and prayer meetings. The staff at each of the 12 Missions of Hope centers in Mathare Valley work as a unified team to serve the people in the slum and to serve God. One particular lesson I learned while I was in Kenya was how important it is to empower these children and these people. Empowering an individual elevates a person above their poverty line socially and mentally, helping them see their worth in God's eyes. This worth, in turn, transforms their mindset, which affects how they take care of themselves and the world around them. One way Missions of Hope ministers to the Mathare Valley community is through community health evangelism. This development, also known as CHE, identifies issues and mobilizes resources to achieve positive and sustainable change in impoverished communities. While I was in Mathare Valley this past summer, participating in CHE included doing house visits, where I would share the gospel with an evangelism queue, pray and encourage the families, and also assist the families medically or oversee triage at medical camps. CHE workers are trained workers who seek to be the literal hands and feet of Jesus as they walk from house to house ministering to the people present in Mathare Valley. One CHE worker I was especially impacted by was a man named Charles. Charles grew up in Kosovo, one of the areas in Mathare Valley. He went to a public school in the slums and eventually attended a university in Nairobi. He then came back to Mathare Valley and now lives with his family in a different community known as Gitethuru. I'm inspired by his desire to make a difference in the dark valley he grew up in and give back to his community. Changed people like Charles are changing lives every single day in the slum. Another Kenyan who impacted me greatly was a lady named Mary. Mary had the heart the size of Africa and prayed and encouraged continually, putting her own physical or emotional needs aside so she could minister to this community each day. Kenyans like Charles and Mary inspire me by their selfless lives, their willingness to be the hands and feet of Jesus in the darkest valleys, and to live to see God move in this slum. This dark slum is filled with shattered, distorted, and fragmented relationships, which result in a lack of peace. Poverty degrades an individual's worth mentally, socially, and destroys a person's motivation to change his or her health and personal well-being. Thus, this elevates their poverty physically and environmentally. However, there is still great hope even in the darkest corners in Africa. God's light beams forth through the obedience of Miss Mary Kamau, who started a school in the slum, which has now expanded to where 13,000 children attend a Missions of Hope school in Mathare Valley. Not only this, but a clinic, a microfinance department, and multiple new churches were created through this holistic ministry. One specific area Missions of Hope works in is community health evangelism, which focuses on sustainability in these disadvantaged communities. Today, thousands of lives are being changed by the power of the gospel and through the ministry of Missions of Hope. I wonder what life would be like if we were as obedient to God's call in our lives as Mary Kamau was, and how poverty would drastically change if we saw every single person as created beings in the image of God. Thank you.